Okay, this is a early 70s Z prefix BSA Mercury. It's my rifle. I've had it since I was about 14, so yeah, long time. Made quite a few modifications to it. I just wanted to run through in case anybody out there is interested. The original spring and setup, valve guides were a really poor fit, not very good quality at all. Bad fit on the spring, bad fit to the piston as well. So get rid of that. I've been running it on that spring with the drop-in kit. Had some fair results with it, but wanted to see if we could get any better than that. The guides fitted well in the spring, but not particularly well on the piston rod. So basically what I've done, I've gone back in the unit and I've turned my own up. So I've got new valve guide, new spring, new top hat, slip washer and piston sleeve. All of that fits as it should do now. Nice. Also the piston, these now fit as I should do without any ply. Right, so we're sort of getting there with it. The piston itself, on the old BSAs, they used like a split skirt at the back, I'm guessing, so that expanded in the receiver to maintain a bearing surface. What I've done, I've ground the bearing surface off and I've buttoned the piston. The reason this has 4 buttons in it and not 3, like most people do, is the fact that obviously you've got the slot at the front and the slot at the rear, and it was difficult to space 3 round it, so it has 4. Polished the centre rod as well, so everything slips on it nice, you know, as it should do. Piston sleeve, was using PTFE. Problem I found with that, because there's not a lot of space between the spring and the inside of the piston body, is that it was slightly less than 0.3 millimeters. Because the PTFE sheet that thin was quite tight on the spring, it started to ridge, and I think it was basically threading, so it was causing the spring to twist, and I was getting a lot of movement on the gun, like torsional twist through the spring, gripping and threading up that up. That's what I believe anyway. So get rid of that. Now we've got a steel one, gone back to steel. That was actually made out of an aerosol can, which just happens to be 0.27 millimeters. So that's a perfect fit. If I drop that together just quickly. None of this is lubricated as yet. Okay. Right. So that's what we're looking at. And that is now, well, as far as I'm aware, that's as good as it can get. Right, so that's the setup for the piston and spring assembly. The piston heads, if we move over here, that's the original one. Buffer washer, aluminium head and O-ring. Those weighed in with the 3 together at 24 grams. I've increased the sweat volume on this rifle right up to the maximum, hence the reduced steel head. That's about a third the density of aluminium, so I've weighed that, and that is also 24 grams. I'm still not overconfident with the O-ring seal, because the receiver on these old BSAs was never fantastic to start with, and this one's been shot to death, so it has got an amount of wear in it. So what I've done, turned up a new piston head. Well, I ordered this seal, it's a Diana seal to suit a 28mm bore. the bore on this rifle is Imperial 1 1/8 inch, which I think is 28.56 or 57. That is oversized of 28, so I've tried it. It seems to be a nice, smooth, snug fit. So I've turned up a aluminium head for it. That comes in at 7 grams total. So I've got that split pin to go through it, seal to mount. So that should get me a lot more efficient. The idea being, if it's more efficient, I can reduce the spring more, as with the old one, get it down to below the £12 UK legal limit, and get it as smooth as I possibly can. Right. So yeah, from the internals of it, that's pretty much where I am. Receiver. Right. The receiver, that's been honed and polished internally. I don't know if you can see that in this light, but it's a nice smooth surface now, as it should be. Also, there was an amount of wobble on the barrel on this. It was a 1/4 diameter breech access pin originally. I've replaced that slot with a oversized bolt that I've machined, reamed out the holes through. That way it will actually grip the jaws, pinch them just a little bit tighter, so as to take any wobble out of the barrel, you know, and get a good fit as it should be. The other thing I've done, which you've probably noticed, is this. It looks a bit bulky, but it's very good at what it does. It's basically a barrel lock-up system. I'll show it when the gun is assembled, so you'll see better how that works. But basically, when you cock the rifle, pull that down, right the barrel, cock the rifle, return it, just thumb that back up. That acts on a cam on the barrel, which is there, and it just locks that down absolutely solidly. So with the oversized pin, that's eliminated any wobble on the barrel, and that has definitely took any bounce out of it as well. So that's pretty much as rigid as you can get with a bright barrel rifle when that's actually locked up. Other things that I've done, because what I'm going to do with this is test this with different spring lengths and different transfer port sizes to get the best sort of results I can for smoothness, accuracy and power within the legal limit. What I've done, I've set that up in the lathe on the headstock, and I've drilled out the transfer port with a step. Again, don't know if you can quite see that. And then I've drilled and tapped the top of it, put a small grub screw in the top there. Right, now the idea with that is I've turned up these 5 different size transfer ports, as you can see, ranging from 2.5, 278 through to 3.5 millimeters. What I'm going to do, basically, that will go straight in, he says, hopefully. Yeah, that will retain it. I can put that across the chronograph. I can check movement on the muzzle of the rifle, and I can also shoot sort of several shots target wise and just record the accuracy with the different transfer ports, the velocity and also the smoothness, and see which is the best setup. That I'm looking forward to doing that, because I've not really seen that actually done. You know, I quite strongly expect that I'll end up with it being that one, because that's the one it came from the factory, what was 2.78 as far as I'm aware. and I dare say they've invested quite a lot of time getting it right to start with, but we'll give it a go and see what happens with that. That's about it with the receiver. Yeah, that's about it with the receiver. Okay, the barrel. Most obvious thing with that is I've reduced the length of it. As you can see, I've parted that off on the lathe, turned this down, milled the end of it and recrowned it, so we're nice and square and true. That now is 14 inches, which is more than long enough for this rifle. So we'll give that a go and see how that works out. I've got like a cam system on the top of it. That's basically for this barrel lock, so that when it's cut, that comes over, latches on the cam. The only other thing I've done with that is made a moderator for it, basically with shortening the barrel. With that fitted onto it, that'll give me just a little bit more leverage for cocking if I need it, because of the barrel being shorter. And although it's a spring rifle, you won't notice much difference with a moderator when you're close up to it, but if you are downwind of it, then yeah, it does certainly make a big difference. So that's the barrel setup. Put a new breech seal in it as well. That is a BSA, standard BSA breech seal. Does seem to be quite proud. See if that'll bed in. Should do. I've also got a Virac one, which from what I can gather, people with the old BSAs are tending to fit these. I have tried it in. It's quite a tight fit, and if I were to use it, I would certainly have to reduce the thickness of it, because it seems to be quite a bit harder than the BSA one. So I'm going to stick with the BSA one for now. Maybe look at changing that in the future. And that's it with the barrel. Okay, so I'll get this lubricated up, get it reassembled now. Get it down on the range. Try it with the different transfer ports. Reduce the spring half a coil at a time, reassemble it, retest it, get the best results, and then post it up on YouTube. So if it's of interest to anybody, they'll be able to see exactly how it performs, and get back to you soon. Thanks very much.